the Summit Racing Equipment Southern Nationals with a quick programming note. If you are looking for the WNBA game between the Chicago Sky and the New York Liberty, head on over to ESPN News, as we're going to continue with live qualifying here on ESPN2. Continues with Jack Beckman and Tim Wilkerson.
When you take a look at Tim Wilkerson with that new body on the race car, talked about having that camshaft brake. Now, initially they saw that it had two dropped intake valves, which would fire all that fuel in the manifold. The key, what he said, is we had to go back and we had to find out what caused this explosion. We know the intake valves hung or dropped and allowed that fuel to fire in the manifold, but what caused the intake valves to drop? The camshaft broke. Anytime you break a crankshaft or camshaft, you separate that valve train from the pistons, fires that cylinder, the fuel in the manifold, you are going to get the big explosion. So it was great that they found out what the problem was.
Additionally, he had that special body on with the extra escape valves on the side, and so it'll be interesting to see what kind of comes out of that, because there was some big-time concern about keeping these bodies on. It did stay on.
Stayed on. It blew the right side of the body out of it, though, but they'll go back and assess it.
Just like that, the Dodge body of Jack Beckman explodes.
Boy, and we see this every time on the Mopars. It just splits it right there off of the front. Now, we just talked about the fact that Tim Wilkerson had the vents in the side windows to try to keep this incident from happening.
Look at the carnage on the racetrack. Good news for Tim Wilkerson, who's nowhere near that. You see his wife looking on. Jack surveys the damage about how a funny car just became a convertible, but he's done it before. In fact, he did it en route to winning the funny car specialty race. The track's a showdown.
I tell you, it's a shame because, I mean, the car was on a very good pass, too. That's some really good early numbers. I mean, in fact, it was flying early. But then the 8th mile speed was down just a little bit, and shortly after that, that's when you seen the body, or the engine explode and the body go flying off the chassis.
Well, Jack Beckman did go 415, but his speed was only 251 miles an hour through the trap, so it let him go early.
Yeah, just past half track. Like I said, the numbers here were really quick, but he was only going 269 miles per hour.
Wow.
The numbers were quick enough. He probably should have been, if everything was going right, well over 270. So that gives me an idea that possibly that indicate that the problem just possibly started just before he got to the 8th mile. Might have had just a misfire somewhere. And as a driver, if that's the case, he just goes out there and just kind of bobbles. You have no time, no time to react. It just happens instantaneously. And next thing you know, you're driving a convertible.